Alright, we're live. Hello YouTube. Hello Soulstorm community. My name is Dusty Minister. I am a Space Marine one trick and I have around 1,000 games on Space Marines. I peaked at 1,787 MMR on DAO stats, according to DAO stats. Which is a program you can download on dowstats.ru. I would recommend everyone to do that. It helps you with a lot of things just in general. Um, the peak is probably very inflated. Just a little disclaimer because it's not a perfect system. And also, I just think I've won a lot in a row and it wasn't necessarily against the really good guys. So I would say I'm just above average Space Marine player, and I am pushing back to get to there. But I wanted to make this video. This is my first video, by the way, and it's probably very rough to watch, but I feel like I have to do it because what I've noticed is there's a lot of new players coming into the scene, or the scene, but playing this game. And they're playing it for the first time, and they usually want to play Space Marines. That's the most played race, and it's also this video that I'm going to react to by Jagus art. It's his most viewed video, and it's a video where he shows build orders. The problem is, I meet a lot of like Jagus fans who is playing Space Marines, and they follow this build order, and I destroy them every single time. One, because I've played Space Marines for way longer than them, but two, because they make a wrong build order that's based on Jagus' video. And so even though I'm critiquing this video, I am not shitting on Jagus. I think he's amazing. Jagus art, if you don't know who he is, he's one of the greatest YouTubers there is right now in Soulstorm community. He has done YouTube for more than a year now, and this is one of, if not his first video, I'm not sure actually. I think it's more than a year old now. And I've seen Jagus play 1v1s. Most of the things I'm going to say he already kind of knows. And so he's not dumb. He's way better than this. And he has even said that these videos are a little outdated. But I would even consider like before this video was made, it was outdated even when he made it. I think it's because he watches a lot of team games and watches how Space Marine play there. But 1v1s are very different for team games, and I'll show you how it's very different in this specific case. So I will only go over what he considers the standard build order, because the other build orders are really not good for 1v1s. The first build order is standard, the second is what he calls the King's build, which can work in team games. I don't play much of them, but I could imagine it works because in team games there's not a lot of fights. And he has a sniper mass, which is possible to play in 1v1s, but I think his version is very outdated. And his tier 2 stuff is completely fine, but I'll just go over his opening on the standard build order. I will then show you a pro game, or at least the really high rated players, and how they would play this situation in practice. And then I will go over how you should have a build order, how it actually should look in standard. And then I will also show you a game of mine that shows you exactly what happens when someone goes a generator and gets punished for it. So it's just to show you why you don't do this build order, but also to explain how this build order works, because it is something that some people will do and it looks good, but in practice it's not for 1v1s. So yes, I will just go through this video. I will skip a little bit in it, so if you haven't watched it, I recommend you to watch it. And please subscribe to Jagus because he's super great. Okay? Love you, Jagus. This will be a little hard for you, but love you, Jagus.
Guys, Jagus here. In this video today, I'm going to be explaining 3 different Space Marine build orders. These are the sort of the main build orders that I see getting played a lot, especially in multiplayer. So let's get into it. I'm going to go into Fedamorga here, make sure it got insane AI difficulty, and boom, let's go. Okay, so this first opening I want to show you is the standard opening. I call it the standard opening because it allows for it just keeps your options broad. Um, so basically what it is you build one barracks, queue up one builder, two scouts, get the second builder to help build the chapel barracks, and get first of all, queue up a generator, and then get the first scouts to cap the point. Second scouts cap the point. And once the barracks is completed, we are going to queue up the force commander. So just the force commander at this stage, because on his own he can hold himself in battle really well. So we don't need to necessarily make the Space Marine squad just yet. And in fact, if we do, we won't have enough resources to build our listening posts, which we must do at all costs. As you might have known from my videos, I always stress this: build your listening posts. So we'll build one here. Did I queue that cap order? No, I didn't. Queue, queue, queue.
Okay, let's talk about the Force Commander a little bit. So he opens up with a generator. I will explain in depth why that is a huge mistake. But let's talk about the Force Commander to begin with, right? So the Force Commander, there is a debate between a lot of Space Marine players on what to go, Force Commander or Space Marine Squad as the first unit out of your barracks. Most Space Marine players will probably tell you that it depends, but I will say just very shortly that what Jagus says here, we need the Force Commander at this point because he can hold his own, which is also a little bit misleading to say. And he also says that if we don't build him first and we go a Space Marine squad first instead, we won't have enough resources to build our LP2. Or the LPs, just LPs, not LP2s. The reason why he says that, and he doesn't explain it because he's playing this live and he's explaining exactly what to do step by step, and he's also making sure not to look like a complete moron. So he needs to do a lot of things and therefore be efficient with his time in how he explains it. So I'll just explain it. So if you look at it, the Space Marine squad cost 190 requisition, and the Force Commander costs 220. So you would think that, oh, and 50 power. You would think that, what does he talk about? Like, they cost even less than the Force Commander, right? Go in practice and try this build order right here. 2 scouts, barrack generator, 2 LP2s as soon as possible, which is what he's saying, and then go a Space Marine squad. What will happen, and you will see this, is that the Space Marine squad gets way faster out than the Force Commander, and when they get out, you won't have enough resources to get the Force Commander, which means your barrack will be idling for some time, or you have to skip an LP, which is not smart whatsoever. So it'll become a very tacky and awkward build order. So don't do that. If you do open up a generator, you have to go Force Commander. Here's the problem with the Force Commander. Already now there's a problem, right? Because you, as I just told you, you have to go the Force Commander. There will be cases where you should never start the Force Commander in a specific matchup, or at least where it will be very suboptimal to do that. And a Space Marine squad would be way better to start with. But this build order, you can only start Force Commander. So you lack flexibility by doing this, right? That's the first problem. The second problem that happens is the Force Commander in of itself, and this is why he sometimes shouldn't be starting, is yes, he can hold his own, which is what Jagus says, right? But that doesn't mean he can hold your base. Because yes, the Force Commander is super strong. I would say just combat stats wise, he's probably the strongest commander in the game, probably together with Chaos Lord, right? In terms of HP, range damage, and melee damage, right? He's probably the strongest. There's some candidates who can face him, but he's probably the strongest. And so if people run into him, he's super strong, right? But if someone is getting into a base early, which is very, very, very normal in 1v1s, uh, they will harass you. And they will not run into your force commander. They'll try to kill your scouts instead, or they will interrupt your builders while they're building the LPs, and then they will turn on that LP, and you have to cancel the LP. And like, it's really, they'll try to like harass you instead. And so what happens is the force commander will be like, let's say it's a command squad with a priest from Imperial Guard, right? That means that unit is way faster than, or at least significantly faster than your force commander, because the force commander, while being strong, is also very slow. So it'll look a little bit like this when you have a force commander. It'll be something like the Imperial Guard squad comes in and says, "I'm gonna kill that scout," and the force commander will be like, "Oh shit, okay, I'm gonna get there," and then the command squad from IG will be like, "Okay, I'm gonna kill your builder over here then. I'm gonna run over there." Then the force command, "I'm here now, guys." "Oh shit, he's over there. Okay, okay, now he's on the third spot. What the fuck? Oh, now he's going back." It'll be like that all the time. And like I said, the force command, the command squad from IG, there's way worse stuff like Tau Vespits, who jumps around. I think they have 3 jumps or some ridiculous shit like that. They have a Dark Elder with Hellions. They'll jump around too. Even Raptors from Chaos, which we will watch in another game. Even they are problematic for the Force Commander to do anything about. And they won't fight the Force Commander. They'll try to kill your builders instead and harassing. Avoid the Force Commander altogether. So the Force Commander, not the best to... It's really good to hold his own, but not to hold your base and your resources and stuff. So that's the problem with the Force Commander early. Let's move on to the game.
Build that listing post. And you'll see once this listing post is done, we will have enough resources to go for the Space Marine squad. So Force Command is almost done. The listing post is almost done. We watch up the top here. And boom. Now we can make our Space Marine squad.
So this looks very fluent, right? And by the way, imagine if this was different. The Force Commander was later and the Space Marine squad is the first one you get. Imagine this. This was very close to not be enough. And then right as the LP is being built, now you can go the SM squad. It looks very efficient, and it is, but that doesn't mean it's effective. And when you get a situation now where you have a shit ton of float, so he's maximizing his requisition. You see up here, it's probably a little hard for you to see, but there's like, what, 16? But he has a lot of power, and he needs to use that power, otherwise it's just kind of floating, right? And floating is not good, especially not in 1v1s, or anywhere, actually. And so he is maximizing his requisition use of that and being very efficient, but you'll see a new problem that will happen very soon.
Now, even though we're pretty low right now, this is fine because our 2 points are still being captured. This post just got done, so now we have enough resources to build another listing post, which we can do on this one. We'll do it on this one. And we won't have enough to build the post on this point, but because most of our points are built already, we can just protect this point. And we can just go ahead and build the listing post anyway, so all good there. Yeah, with our... So this is where it's standard. We got our Force Commander, Infantry Squad. We can attach the 2.
So, this is his army. At this point, this army will probably meet... Let's see, what would be normal? uh, a Vespid squad from Tau, a Tau commander, and some crews, or 3 Imperial Guard squads, or at least something that gets very close to that very soon, and a command squad. This army will not hold up against most armies early game, because people will not open up a generator. Certain races can get away with it though. Imperial Guard, Orcs. In fact, Orcs is actually potentially the most optimal way, but they can go even harder. They can start a wall banner. What else? Uh, Sisters can do it. Um, a lot of races can open up a generator where it's a little less punishing than than it is for Space Marines. But if someone goes even harder and they don't go a generator and they just rush you, they have a lot of units and you won't be able to sustain it. This is the upcoming mistakes that Jagus is going to do. He's going to make a mistake here, which is a mistake he's forced to make because of his build order. I'll show you.
And we can apply some pressure. Okay, that's done. LP2.
Okay.
So it's important we get our LP2s up.
Yeah. So he upgrades this, and then he also upgrades this.
Okay, that's done.
Right?
LP2.
Okay. At this point he had
Apply some pressure. Okay.
around 160 requisitions. So that means he probably has 190 to build another Space Marine squad. Remember what I said, you need more army, right? He could probably do that in around 4 seconds, but instead he uses 100 requisition to upgrade this LP, and another 100 a little bit later, 4 seconds later, in fact, I think, to get the other LP2. Here is the problem here. You can't really do this, even if you like try to change this a little bit. Maybe you just upgrade one and then don't upgrade the other, but then get another Space Marine squad a little later. The problem is you have so much power. Look, he almost has 200. He's approaching 200. He needs to use this power because he just built a generator. Otherwise, this power low-key goes to waste. And you need requisition to fight off the opponent. You need to reinforce your units if there's a fight breaking out, and it's very likely there's already a fight going on right now. So that's kind of the problem. You need an army. You might say, what if I just upgrade all my LPs to LP2s and just play defensive and get a lot of econ? Here's a reason why there's several reasons why you can't do that. One, at this point you can only upgrade 2 LP to LP2s, 2 of them. And that's because they cost 75 power. The opponent, who's probably already attacking you, by the way, remember, around 3 guardsmen probably, maybe even, yeah, or a bunch of shooter boys and like a bunch of slugger boys attacking you right now. You need an army, right? And they'll just look, okay, he upgraded this LP, he probably upgraded this LP as well. What if I find the one LP he didn't upgrade, right? So you see he upgraded 2. But he'll just go around down in the whatever, like the corner down there. I can't show it, my face is probably on the map right now. But you get it, like there's one of them that wasn't upgraded, right? Or they'll just attack your relic right now because you can't defend it. He has a bigger army than you, and so you won't be able to get that relic. And so you just lose requisition income in other places, even though you just upgraded your LP to LP2. And he will have more map pressure, or maybe he will even penetrate your base and like get your generator. He will look for a weak spot, and you can't fight him back because you have a small army. So, and this will happen all the time in many matchups, in many 1v1s. So don't do this. Just in general, don't do this. Even if he went a Space Marine squad instead of upgrading any LP2s, that just means that the opponent will still beat you because you don't have that much requisition still, but you have a shit ton of power, and so you get a lot of imbalance, and it's just very inefficient and very and ineffective, therefore also. And so, yeah, it's not a good idea in 1v1s, and I will show you later on how it actually works. Um, the problem is you use 135 requisition for the generator, and every single early game unit, except for the Force Commander who cost 50 power, every single early game unit from Space Marines are relatively expensive, and they all cost requisition. So yeah, this is not good. What Jagus does, and he can do this. This is the upside, and this is why it's potentially really good in what's it called in team games, but it's not so good in 1v1s. Is around 338. This is the game time
Get
338.
across that you.
You check. He goes tier 2. You never do that. Sure, he can do this because he has a lot of power, but you never do that in 1v1s. There will be extremely rare cases, and really good players will probably do it because they figured out some next level thing that I just don't understand. But for the most part, you never do this. Like 95% of the time, you will never get someone teching this early. So yeah, don't do this. And if you check this early, the opponent probably didn't pressure you hard enough. So yeah, just don't do this. Um, I will show you another video to show you what happens in practice, and it's also on Jagus' channel. And it is a game between Dantist, who's playing Chaos, and Space Marines that's being played by All Seeing Eye. So context: Chaos, the Chaos player, he is probably the best Soulstorm player right now, or at least the best Chaos player. He's at least top 5. And All Seeing Eye is right now, I think, the best Space Marine player. I know some people will say Beer God because he's the highest ranked right now, I think. But Beer God, for the most part, only plays Blood River as far as I can understand. He's really, really fucking good, but I don't know if he's like the most flexible one. All Seeing Eye, he actually plays all matchups. He goes even into very horrible matchups for SM, and he wins for the most part. He plays all maps, he plays all matchups. He even plays all races. He's a very, very classic player. He's been around for a while, and he's super fucking good. We will go through this video just a little bit, and I will actually recommend everyone to watch this video. Don't watch my videos on Jagus' channel if you really want to really learn SM. You can for the most part, but like I don't know why this has less views than my newest video on Jagus' channel, because like this is actually really fucking good players, and I'm just above average. So yeah, go watch this game instead of my video. I'll just say that. But I will go through it and see what happens in practice.
What's up, guys? It's Jagus here, back with another Dawn of War Soulstorm 1v1 video. And this is about the 6th time I've had to record now, because as you can probably tell by how coarse my voice sounds right now, I had a bit of a coughing fit for the previous 5 times. So if I sound a bit exhausted or out of breath, yeah, that was why.
You're doing great, Jagus. Don't worry about it.
But regardless, let's just get on with the game. Today we're going to be looking at one of my favorite matchups to watch, to be honest. Both because of the lore and like gameplay wise. So we've got Chaos, Dantist playing as Chaos on the left side, as we know. He's a Chaos main, and he's very good at playing the race. And his opponent is All Seeing Eye playing as Space Marines on the right hand side. All Seeing Eye, long time player, and I'm fairly certain he knows how to play all the races there are. So two very good players gonna battle it out here, and I'm very excited to watch it. I hope you guys are as well.
Okay. He introduced the players actually. I forgot that he actually does that. Of course he does that. So I didn't have to do that. So this is all seeing eye. Look how different his opening is here. He has three scouts, not two. He built two servitors, no generator, and he opens up with Space Marine Squad. Um, the reason why he opens up with Space Marine Squad is, and especially on this specific map, is because he knows that Dantist, who's a fucking good player, as I just told you, in this specific matchup, on this specific map, it's kind of a no-brainer for Dantist to open up Raptors, which is a jumping jetpack unit that I'm going to show you. And therefore, he needs the Space Marine Squad instead of the Force Commander, because the Space Marine Squad is a tad faster, and they also have more range, or at least a bit more range. I think it has at least like a little more consistent, and so uh, it's just better to play this opening specifically. There's other cases where it's really good to have a Force Commander, but if he gets outrun, it's not good to start Force Commander. He also has three scouts, as I told you, and that's because this map is kind of big. It's actually significantly big, and therefore it's really good to have three scouts to cap the map faster. And you also notice that All Seeing Eye is having two builders build the LP instead of one LP apart from each other on the same time, which Jagus did. Um, but this is because, oh, the table was a little. Um, this is because All Seeing Eye is going to build a Force Commander now, right after his Space Marine Squad, right?
Also, I
So it's coming out here. I can tell you it is. And right now he has two requisition, meaning he can't build on this point over here that's about to be captured, and so he just maximizes his time to go on one LP. And in fact, I think this is the most normal opening I've seen All Seeing Eye do. He has a tendency to use both his servitors on the same LP and build that. This is his classic opening, I would say, for the most part. When I see him play, I've seen him do other stuff, but this is what he does for the most part. And so this is a standard build order, if you ask me. This is a standard build order.
gonna go straight for the Space Marine squad and the Force Commander. He made three scouts. Three scouts? Yeah, three scouts, and as you can see, no generator from him. So he's going kind of all out here. He's being quite aggressive with this opening. On Chaos' side, Dent.
He says this is aggressive, but as I told you, this is potentially actually, or not potentially. This is necessary. This matchup, Chaos actually, I'm not as into Chaos, but Chaos for the most part has to do this too. They have kind of the same problem as Space Marines, and specifically this matchup. If one of them goes generator, the other, uh, the ones that did not, the player that did not go generator will 95% of the time win if he knows what to do, and I will show you that in another video. So both players know they shouldn't go, they should go generator.
Well, actually, he's done the same thing. He's decided not to build the plasma generator as well, going for the Chaos Marine squad. Oh, actually, he does make a Raptor. He made a Raptor squad as well. Wow, two very aggressive openers from both players here. So I think this game is going to be quite intense. These players taking the gloves off, and I think they're going to beat each other to death here.
Most likely they will. So Jaegers, in this video, you'll see that the Space Marines. I told you that they're really good at like fixing the problem with jumping units, at least to some extent. Um, but you might say, well, they lose to the Raptors. No, yeah, if they fight each other. But as I told you, they probably won't. If the Raptors are chasing the Space Marine squad for years years until he loses, because that's what happening if he does that, because that means he's not harassing you and you can just disengage. Don't go melee against the raptors, just disengage and just chill. When he turns on the scouts or a builder, then you start shooting.
Anyway, the Space Marines have to retreat from these raptors. There's no way they can beat them in melee. So All CI needs to save the squad. Now the raptors divert their attention to these scouts just to decap this point. They don't want them to capture it, but
So you can see if they jump all the time, imagine how hard it will be for Force Commander.
after they jump away, obviously the scouts can continue capturing that point again.
This is good harassment.
Now the raptors gonna kind of move around, see what damage they can do. Maybe they'll jump into Space Marine's base there.
So you see they change target all the time, right?
Even just do a bit of scouting around, maybe. Oh, and definitely try to hunt down these builders. Force Commander now out for All-Seeing Eye. He manages to...
Now you see that the Force Commander is like, I can't chase these guys, so he will turn around. And you see how fast they are compared to him. And they're way faster than him. Where the Space Marines are at least a little faster and can kind of like close the gap before the Raptors will do too much damage. It's not really the same with the Force Commander. So he turns around, as you see here. And instead, over here, comes a new Space Marine squad. That's right, he builds another Space Marine squad, right? Because he knows that he needs to contest Dantist. And so he's like, okay, I'll just let this Space Marine squad deal with these Raptors.
One Raptor model. One model on half health as well. So far, no gains on Dantist's side just yet. Will he make the Chaos Lord? Yeah, Chaos Lord is on the way up.
And so now you see that this Space Marine squad that he just built is going to handle the Raptors at least relatively well. And he sends the other Space Marine squad to attack his base now, right? Because Dantist is on the offense. And All-Seeing Eye is doing a counterattack now. And he's like, okay, I need to do something, otherwise I'm kind of a deadbeat. Sometimes you don't need to do this, but it's good if you are able to do a counterattack, and you can't do this in this case.
I was going to say he will need the Chaos Lord in this situation. Can't have the Force Commander out on the field while Chaos has no commander of his own. But there we go now.
And so you see over here, he just killed like two cultists. He killed a heretic. This is good harassment, right? It's potentially just as good as what Dantist did, potentially. So this is good counterattack, even though Dantist is the one who started harassing, right? And this builder over here, you will also see be killed by the Force Commander, who's coming from this side over here. So this is the thing. Even if you survived the early game for some random reason by building a shit ton of LPs, you won't be able to do what All-Seeing Eye is doing. You won't be able to counterattack. You can't be defensive and counterattack on the same time. This is way better.
Other Space Marines moving into the heavy cover, nicely placed. And the Chaos Space Marines will now hop in, engage in melee. I've been told the Chaos Space Marines do more damage than the Space Marines. But
so how this works is the Space Marines have more HP, and the Chaos Space Marines has a little bit more damage in melee, like a tiny bit. Range, it's the same, as far as I understand at least. And I think very early game there will be some upgrades that will change the picture, but very early game the Space Marines wins even in melee combat. So that's how that works.
But the Space Marines have more in the ways of health and all that.
Yeah. And so this is how the early game goes. I won't go more into this video. I would recommend you to watch this video because it's actually a really cool game. But you can see that all of these things won't happen in the early game if you go Generator. There's no way. You will just be a deadbeat and like try to fight off the you will just try to fight off the Raptors. If you had the army that Jagus had, he would be able to get off the Raptors, but all this Chaos army you see right here, they'll just attack your relic, they'll attack like whatever you have down there, and you won't be able to fight back. And so you will be bunkering up with like what 4 points or whatever. That's not good. And so and especially not against a player like Dantist who will just punish you. So I will show you another game, and this is the last video I will show, which is my game that Jagus actually goes over, and I will speed forward to just show you how even when I micro a little bit bad, in fact I actually micro quite bad. This is a 1600 to 1700 MMR game. I think it's 1600 at this point at least. And I'm playing against a player, a chaos player. He's a decent chaos player who's called Zach Masowski. And I think he gets surprised by this because he's making the mistake that Dantist or All Seeing Eye didn't do. He builds a generator as a chaos player. So I kind of go the same build as All Seeing Eye is doing. I'm going 3 scouts, build 2 servitors, and I build the barrack. I will tell you the standard build order in the end of the video, by the way. And you see here, Zach Masowski builds a generator. Right? Soon we will see it, right? I built 3 scouts. I don't remember this game entirely, I will say that. Yeah, and here's the generator. This is a massive mistake, and I will punish him, you'll see. I go the force commander first. The reason why I do that is because you can see on this map the points are a little closer together. In fact, very much closer together. It's very tight. And so even if he went Raptors, which he actually does in this game, and I think it's a mistake personally, even if you went Force Commander, the gap or the amount of area that you have to like walk, my English is terrible, sorry, but the distance he has to go to close the gap is way smaller because they can't just jump from point to point to point. There's not a lot of terrain on this map, and so even the Force Commander would be kind of okay in this map, even if he went Raptors. I thought he would go Nate Cold, which a lot of Chaos players are doing on this. It's a shit ton of cultists, and he gives them grenades. That's what I expected. The Force Commander is really good against those because he just one-shots cultists almost from range, and yeah, he's really good against that build order. And so I started Force Commander in this case, and by surprise, he went Raptors first. I come in here with one of my scout squads. This is also why it's good to have 3, is you get the option to attack. And so I harass his heretics. They are very, very low. And I even kill the heretic. Now, what is also good is that I now know that he has a generator, right? I get surprised. Suddenly, raptors are in my base. I'm like, okay, okay, I'm just gonna sustain this, I guess, and get a Space Marine squad now. I kind of troll in this game, by the way, so you'll see a lot of mistakes. I try to multitask, so I'm harassing his base while he's kind of harassing my base, stuff like that. But, and you see the Force Commander here, he will wipe a bunch of cultists, I think. Yeah, I think I even wiped the whole thing, right? Yeah, I did. I was a little lucky. But now I have a Space Marine squad, and I know that he's slowing his early game a lot down. He won't have enough requisition compared to me, and so I will just pressure him completely out of control. He has a Chaos Lord right now, and he even wipes my scouts up here. I get another Space Marine squad, and you see like weird mistakes here and there. I don't have this. I didn't even capture this, right? So you can imagine, like, I make so many mistakes, I still win because that's how bad this generator build is that he does. And you'll see very soon. So what you see right here, this is his army. He had, if he microed perfectly, he would have 5 raptors at this point. You can see over here he has 2 oh, he would have 6 raptors in fact, right? Even if he has 6 raptors, even if he has that, I still have the stronger army. Because one, this squad will just kite these, and they will shoot this, and my force commander will be able to duel this Chaos Lord, or at least to some extent. What I'm trying to say is I have the stronger army here. And it gets way worse for him, by the way. But already now I have a stronger army than him. I even have some scouts here to help a little bit. And this goes horribly wrong. He makes a micro mistake. And this just makes this situation even worse for him. I just reinforce a shit ton. I have a massive army right now compared to him. And he reinforces as well, but he can't sustain this for a long time. You will see what happens. So he upgraded this, right? I told you. He upgrades a listening post. He could have potentially upgraded two. He didn't do that. He went the middle thing. He upgraded one LP2 and then reinforced a lot of his units. And it's still bad for him because he's down in requisition. I find a weak spot. And now he tries desperately to force me off. I murder him because I have the stronger army, and he mismicroed his Chaos Lord as well. I just don't walk into this LP2. I'm going to say, okay, I smash this LP2 now. And I just keep reinforcing all the time because I know I have more requisition than him. So he will just, this is a war of attrition, I think it's called. He will run out of gas before me. Right? Now, I'm gonna go behind here. Oh, he doesn't have an LP2 here either. Okay, I'm gonna destroy his generator now. I come in with another Space Marine squad. So I actually went 4 Space Marines. So I basically just rush him. I'm not gonna let him tech. And I even miss micro here. But he still can't do anything because I just keep on having a lot of units. Oh, you'll see something soon here. Right, we're going back and forth, and he actually has a decent army. He micros a little better than me. I try to destroy his base while I'm trying to kill his. You'll see something a little funny here. So, and this is a decent player, by the way, and he makes this mistake. Over here, I have another Space Marine squad, and I'm fighting melee, which is horrible micro, by the way. I fight melee against the Chaos Raptors. He has 3 Chaos Raptors. I have, I think, 7 Space Marine squads. So even the Raptors can't keep up. He can't sustain it. He does not have enough units and enough resources. And so I keep fighting him. I can just keep on going. I reinforce all the time, and he can't sustain it. I've said it several times now because I'm destroying his base. I'm destroying his econ. So even the economic advantage he had is being lost. He has 267 power, which he doesn't use for anything, and it could have been requisition instead, but yeah, he used it on a generators instead. And the econ advantage he had is being lost because I'm destroying his economy right now. I destroyed his generator, I'm destroying his LPs and LP2 now, and so we just fight it out. And I keep reinforcing. I'm even doing like really reckless plays here. I'm going for the next right here. No upgrades on my units, by the way. And yeah, it gets destroyed. He even has a decent army. In fact, it's just as big as mine almost. I walk in with the scouts and I tie these up. And so I keep fighting. Like, this looks really rough for me, right? But I keep reinforcing. He goes in with his cultist. I'm kind of one-shotting them, I think. Yes. And so I even miss micro. So if he was really good player, he could have probably destroyed me here. Right? Because I'm kind of fucking up micro-wise and stuff. But he's not so good that he will do this. So imagine if I was a really fucking good player, which I'm not. I'm just a above average player. But imagine if I was a really fucking good player, he will get completely squashed. And I just double down on this because at some point I know he will break. He can't sustain this. And I even think he says GG very soon here. He does, right? He should do. Okay, he doesn't. Oh, he does there. Cool. So this is why you never go to generator. This is going to be the standard build order. I might make other videos on it, but this is the standard build order that you do. And I'll try to put some text in the screen. It's you build a servitor and then build 3 scouts. You get a barrack, you get Space Marine squad or Force Commander first, depending on the map, depending on the matchup, and then you go, if you start a Space Marine squad, you go Force Commander and then a Space Marine squad again. Or if you start a Force Commander, you go a Space Marine squad and another Space Marine squad. What you do as well is building LPs, because you can do this. If you have to, you probably have to do what All Seeing Eye did. He probably built one LP, and make sure that is the one LP that's a little hard to catch and like decap, or it's the one that's hard, that could be decapped. Make sure to do that. So it's the least riskiest. Then after that, when you have now 2 Space Marine squads and a Force Commander, you have a decent army. And then depending a little bit on what happens, usually you can go a generator now. And then if you kind of look for an opening, you can get another generator pretty close to each other. And when you have 2 generators, you can tier up. There will be times where you have to delay this a little bit depending on how much you get pressured. In certain cases you would have to get another Space Marine squad. But the point is, the generators is after you have the army. And in between the 2 generators you can also get an LP2. In fact, I would recommend you to get one. The one LP2 you should upgrade is the same place where you placed your generators, because there will be races that will jump those generators. So the LP2 there is really good. And what you do after that is, as I told you, you go tier 2, and that's your opening. I will probably show this build order another time in another video where it becomes a little less messy. I will just show you here, or tell you right now, what the standard build order is actually going to be. I will maybe also do other build order videos, or maybe I will do them together with Jagus, or maybe I will just tell him to update his build order, because I am not here to get views. I just want people to know what they're supposed to do. And so I will probably go into other build orders they can do, because there's different build orders. In fact, there's even build orders where you do open the generator. But yeah, that's just for now. I hope this video was okay, not too rough, and I will put timestamps so you can jump a little bit. And yeah, I hope this video was okay. Thank you for watching at least, and shout out to Jagus, man. I still love you. You're super good. Please don't block me when I try to like send you replays and stuff, because like I really appreciate it, mate. And you're so good for this community. So shout out to Jagus. Yeah, peace, guys.